to Nevada County Snapshots. I'm your host, Cheryl Noble. Our beautiful corner of the Sierra Nevada foothills is rich with diverse natural beauty, one-of-a-kind landmarks, historic, charming towns, world-class cultural events, and so much more. Our program looks at all things grand and glorious in Nevada County. Why don't you come join me and discover or rediscover what's right here in our backyard. Okay, we're at Rock Creek Nature Trail, which is about 6 miles out of Nevada City. And today I'm with Ann Westling, the Public Affairs Officer for the Tahoe National Forest. She's on my right, and on my left is Kathy Van Zoot, a botanist with the Tahoe Forest. They're going to tell us all the great stuff about Rock Creek. Hello, ladies. Hi. And we'll start with you and give us just a quick overview. We're standing from the information booth for Rock Creek. Tell us about it.
Well, this trail was developed many, many years ago, and right now the brochure that we have talks about the ecosystems that are found at Rock Creek. The brochure was actually written by Lynn Campbell in conjunction with the superintendent of schools in cooperation with the Forest Service many years ago, and it's still a very effective brochure in terms of talking about the many different ecosystems here at Rock Creek.
Right, informative too.
That's great. Yes, thanks.
And you can pick up your little brochure right here at the information booth before you start on the trail. So Kathy, how many? It's a diverse ecosystem. Is there a count of how many different wonders?
No, but there's very diverse vegetation. Okay. So there's lots of different things to see in the plant world, in the fungus world, in the bird world, all kinds of different things interacting. It is in the mixed conifer ecosystem. That's the big one, mixed conifer plant community, and it is a stream-side environment. So there's more moisture, which produces different kinds of plant life.
I see. All right, and a little bit cooler weather and nice little waterfalls too, I hear. So
that's right. In fact, on a hot, sweaty day in Nevada City, if you come down to Rock Creek, it frequently can be 10 to 15 degrees cooler. Plus, you have the wonderful sound of the creek itself and all the wonderful bird sounds. And it's a great little, very short escape to come out here, put up your chair. We've got picnic grounds. We've got, there's one restroom. And so it's a nice little place just for either a stroll or to come out and have a lunch break.
And dogs on leashes, so they're welcome. But because of the people who come here with families and kids, sometimes elderly people, that it is wheelchair accessible, dogs are encouraged to be on leashes. That's but they can still get the water from the creek. So let's start. Yes.
Did you hear that sound?
I did.
Did you hear that sound? It was a pileated woodpecker, and that's one of the largest woodpeckers that we would be seeing out here. You can tell the sound. It's a really loud dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. So we should be hearing it more as we walk through the trail.
And they're a little, not endangered, but they're not as common as the other woodpeckers, right?
Yeah, they're not endangered, but you don't see them very often.
Right.
They're huge. They're this tall, and they've got that brilliant red streak on their head with the cap. They're wonderful to see.
Yeah. All right, let's keep our eyes out for is it pileated?
Pileated.
Woodpecker. Okay, we're heading on the trail.
This is a wonderful spot to find banana slugs. They love the moisture, the wet soil, and you can pick them up, touch them, but
let them slime you.
Yes. They aren't very desirable for me to pick up, but I can understand kids might. And there's information on the banana slug in this little brochure, too.
That's right, yes. So you have to look up, look around, listen. This is a great trail for the senses.
One of the things that is really beautiful here is looking up through the canopy. This time of the year, there's all kinds of dogwoods, which are a special plant.
Yes.
They are growing here underneath the canopy of the pines and the Douglas firs. Dogwoods have parallel venation, See how the veins are just going up like
Oh,
that?
right.
And if you find a tree, a small tree or a shrub, and you think it's a dogwood but you're not positive, if you just carefully pull it apart like this, you'll notice that there are little threads in the veins.
I see it.
So then you know that it's a dogwood tree. We have several different kinds of dogwoods on the forest, and the dogwoods are important for migratory birds
Okay.
because they produce berries that are needed by them as they migrate for energy. And dogwoods produce beautiful flowers and wonderful fall color.
Now, the flowers are so spectacular. They're subtle, understated. Have they bloomed already
If you
down
look,
here?
no, but they're
Okay.
getting ready to.
Getting ready.
I noticed just a moment ago that there are some that have the little inflorescence starting to bud out. This is not Cornus natalii, the one that has the big white bracts.
Okay.
This
Familiar
one
with
has
that one.
smaller white ones.
I see.
And most of them are up higher. I can't quite reach them. There's one
Is there a sighting? A dogwood sighting.
of the blooms getting ready to go. They're more up high. Can you see the little stick-like things coming out
Yes.
from the branch?
Right. So maybe they've got a little more sunlight going for them to catch. But interesting how they're just a little behind the cycle of the dogwoods in Nevada City and in town.
That's right.
So-
This area is several weeks behind Nevada City. In fact,
Okay.
as you go up the Sierra Nevada, you will find what will you find? As you go up the Sierra Nevada, you'll find elevational layers where things, as you move up, are slower. In fact, I was on Donner Summit just yesterday, and they still had a good 3 to 8 feet of snow. So this has been quite an interesting winter and spring because things are much more delayed than they normally would be.
Right.
And we're also expecting the creeks to be much higher than they normally would be as we continue to get some snow melt.
And colder, which makes for unsafe water play.
Okay.
People should be very careful when they're trying to recreate in streams and rivers right now.
Right.
One of the great things about the Tahoe National Forest, though, and that elevational change, is you can start, if you're a wildflower lover like me, start in the spring and just keep seeing wildflowers as you go up in elevation almost all season long.
And
Very
then,
great
Are they
place.
different wildflowers? So if you go to a different elevation, you might see something
Yes.
different than you did.
Some the same, some different,
Oh,
or a
fun.
different species of the same genus of flower.
Okay.
I wanted to show you also a hazelnut. This is a hazelnut shrub, and this actually produces little nuts that are very high in protein and again very important for those migratory birds and other wildlife. I don't see any nuts on it right now, but if you feel that leaf, it is so soft.
It is.
Just a beautifully soft little leaf.
Now, again, a similar look to the dogwood that you were pointing out, but the way we can find out is to just split it apart.
You could
And-
look for the little threads in the veins. The feel alone is softer, so it's probably got some hair. And if you look along the edge of the leaf, there are little
It's a little serrated.
indentations, little
Yeah.
serrations, yes. And this venation is not parallel. It's coming off a
Okay.
main vein.
Yeah, I need to put them side by side. There you go. And I'm sure it's in the booklet too.
I'm not positive. Got a while.
Yeah, it talks about the different trees. It doesn't talk about the venation.
One of the plants along this trail that's in abundance is called trail plant. And it's called trail plant because if you walk through it, the underside of the leaf comes up and actually indicates that something or someone has moved past that point.
Oh,
So this is trail plant.
I always wondered.
So you see how when you step over it, you see the white underside? That's why it's called trail plant. And they are getting ready to bloom. This is a different plant. This is called false Solomon seal.
This one here?
Yes. The Native Americans, it has a root system called a rhizome, and the Native Americans would dig up the roots and then cook them to get rid of the bitterness and then eat them. Not that I recommend people dig up plants or eat them, because
You never know.
there's not a lot of them around. But And it also produces red berries later on that they also ate. So just about every plant in this area was used by Native Americans for one purpose or another.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. What's next?
One of the other interesting things along this trail, we have brought kids out here in conjunction with the superintendent of schools and local artists. And so one of the activities that the kids do would be to look around and to identify all the different colors of green, all the different hues, shades, intensities of green, and then name them. And this is a wonderful trail and time of year to be looking for green. If you look around, it's just amazing. In fact, during the afternoon when the sun is streaking through the trees, it almost turns the air green. It's and I often wondered, can air that green photosynthesize?
Right.
Anyway, it's a beautiful area.
And does moss count for green?
Moss does count for green, and we've got some algae or fungus, Kathy?
That is a lichen.
Lichen. Okay.
And there is a story about lichen that I tell to students, which is pretty corny. So I'll shorten it.
Okay.
Alice algae and Freddie fungus, because lichen is a combination of algae and fungi growing together, met and formed a relationship. That's it.
Okay.
There you go.
And that's it on the tree there?
Yeah, that's a lichen, a form of lichen, that light-colored material on the bark of the cedar tree.
And they often can be found on rocks too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you look out straight ahead toward the stream, see that gnarly-looking conifer has some orangish to it and green. That's actually an old Taxus brevifolia, a Pacific yew. Pacific yew is where Taxol, which is a chemical used in the treatment of cancer, was discovered. Taxol is now created synthetically, but that was the original source of it, from the Pacific yew.
We'll find more yew later.
Okay.
Y-E-W.
Y-E-W. Something just moved. How big? Are we still close to the car?
It was kind of yellowy brown.
Well, what are some of the little critters around here? I saw a little raccoon head in the brochure, and there's the banana slug.
Yeah, there's the banana slug. Lots of different types of wildlife. We can see evidence of raccoons. Bears have gone through. In fact, I had a group of kids out here, and a bear went through not too long after we left. Came back, and sure enough, there was the scat in the tracks of the black bear. As I say, lots of different birds. That bird that we're hearing now is probably a robin, but we get a lot of migratory birds through here. We get the black-headed grosbeaks, and hopefully later on we'll also hear the winter wren. The winter wrens are out here, and they remind me of the Energizer bunny, Energizer wren, because they're just nonstop.
Okay.
So hopefully we can hear those. Have found quite a few snakes out here in terms of friendly snakes.
Good.
The rubber boa, I've seen several rubber boas out here. And they're wonderful looking snakes. They really do look like they should be rubber. They're very sleek, kind of a rosy color, but
Almost a rubber color.
almost a rubber color, right?
They're very cute. One of the few snakes I don't mind picking up.
Okay. I'm not sure there is a snake I would pick up. Keep your eyes open. I'm just a city girl. Although we do get snakes in town, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And wildlife.
Right, that's true. A little of everything.
One of the plants, one of the small trees that people will notice when they're out here is this big leaf maple.
Right, these are the kind you like for the fall to
Beautiful
decorate.
yellow color, yes.
Yeah. It can
One
almost
of
be
the
a fan.
Yes, deciduous or hat. So when these trees lose their leaves, that's a very important component of the ecosystem, because as you see, all of that leaf litter falls onto the ground and decomposes and feeds all of the many, many thousands of living organisms, or helps to feed them, that live underground. So all of the creepy crawlers and things that people usually don't like to pick up are helping to decompose those leaves and down wood, and that just helps create nutrients for the other trees and plants that are growing above ground. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
There's another Pacific yew right there.
Now, is that the small, thin one?
Yes.
Okay.
They don't grow very big.
There's,
We will get closer to it.
that's a Pacific yew. Y-E-W.
Yeah.
They don't. They're quite scraggly almost.
There's another one right there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they do look kind of scraggly.
And there's lichen again.
Yes.
Once you learn about something, then it's easy to see it again. But if you don't know about it in the beginning, you can just walk right past it.
That's right.
Okay.
And this is an example of the soil that Kathy was talking about. The soil in a forest environment is one of the most complex ecosystems. It might have, in these western foothill and mountainous regions, there may be over 3,000 different microorganisms, little insects that reside in the soil. And our soil scientist for the Forest Service always reminds us when we're walking through the soil or just through the forest environment to walk gently, because every step we take, you can be stepping on over 1,000 different little organisms that live in the soil. So our soils are very important. They form the foundation of these forests.
Wow.
And the microorganisms need moisture, they need air, and so compaction on soils is really a concern for how healthy the environment is. And if I were to walk out there and stick my finger down into the soil, my finger would go a long ways. But if I try to stick it down into an area where it's been compacted, it does not go in. And so that's why we have the wonderful vegetation off the trail and virtually no vegetation growing in the trail, because the plant roots and the tree roots, they need to have that porosity so they can put their roots down into the soil.
Yes, there are actually air pockets, very small in the soil, that are necessary for plant life. It's true. If you look on the bark of this tree, you'll see there's also the little circular spots.
Yes, I see
That's
that.
also lichen.
Here's right there too.
Okay, different. The other was kind of a painting brush stroke along the tree, and this is a spot. And Bruce, there's some over here, right behind us. I would have thought that was just, I don't know.
This is the lichen that we were looking at before. We also have this green, and that is moss. A type of moss that you also find on tree trunks, very commonly.
The color's so incredible. Down below here, the vivid, bright green.
Lots of different kinds of moss in an environment like this. Some of the people who come to the Tahoe National Forest think that this incense cedar is a redwood because it has a red sort of trunk. We don't have a lot of large redwoods growing here unless they were planted, but the incense cedar is a native and was used very much by Native Americans for a lot of different things.
Wow. And this is called again a
Incense cedar.
incense cedar. It does resemble the redwood tree. Oh my gosh. Great shade through here. Like you say, the canopy of leaves and trees.
Yeah, here's a Pacific yew. Right here. Look at the different kinds of moss on its trunk.
This has the moss growing on it. What is that a problem for the tree to have the moss?
Not at all.
Great. I always think it is diseased or it's being suffocated by it.
Not at all. Actually, what will happen as the season goes on, it will dry out and just hang there until it rains or there's more moisture. It'll kind of resurrect when there's moisture.
Kathy,
A slug?
here's some more. A different type of lichen.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, lichens are everywhere.
You gotta like lichens.
This is a leafy kind.
Okay.
This is a wild rose,
Oh, sweet. Oh, it does
and
look
it
like...
has little buds.
Oh,
All of the domestic roses are hybrids of the wild rose. Unfortunately, to get some of those brilliant colors and patterns of flowers, many of the smells have been bred out.
oh.
But wild roses smell so good.
I do see the little tiny buds popping up.
They will produce a round ball when the flower is done called rose hip. And rose hips are full of vitamin C
Right.
and also very important for wildlife.
Okay, they eat the rosebuds. We're listening to a bird. I can see.
Winter wren. Now that I've identified him, he'll probably be quiet.
The really high-pitched one,
High-pitched one that's going.
Yeah. and that's the winter wren,
Winter
and it's
wren.
migratory.
Yes, it's migratory. Well, no, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's not migratory. You can find winter wrens here all year long. And it's fun. They do nest here, and so you'll get the juveniles. Are you picking up the sound?
A little bit.
Because you'll get the juveniles, and talk about a punk-looking bird. They've got funny feathers. They're just learning how to fly, and so they're flying kind of cockeyed. They're a fun bird. As I say, they're here most of the year, and you can usually hear them. So once you identify that one sound, then you can easily pick it up.
Right. But birds have different sounds for different communication pieces. Sometimes I will think I know a bird, and then it's got a different sound, and so it throws me off.
That's right. They have songs, and that's what you're hearing now,
Right.
where they are trying to either defend a territory, attract a mate, or they'll have calls that's just like a one-syllable sound. But when you look in this environment and it's just solid green, you can't see very far, so the way that they communicate is through the song.
It's way up there on that middle branch, that dead branch about middle, straight up there. Can you see it?
I see empty branches
It's out right
Is
on
it?
the end.
out on the end. We've got is this a winter wren sighting?
Can't quite tell. For bird watching, you definitely need binoculars.
Need binoculars.
Or very good hearing. In fact,
And that's hard too, to track the sound and then find where they're located.
that's right. In fact, Audubon does a wonderful walk every spring, and it's all birding by ear. Let's see, just forgot his name. Rudy Darling does the trip, and he is an expert on bird sounds. And just the slightest little call, he can identify which bird it is. This is interesting at how streams move sediment downhill. This basic mud bank right here was not present last fall. And so this winter, the creek moved all of this dirt down and formed this stream bank right here. And when you find mud like this is a great spot to look for animal tracks. Now, I don't know that we'll see any animal tracks, but it looks right there like there's
right.
deer.
Is that big one a dog or is that a bear over there?
It's hard to say. But I do see something that looks like a dog. So when you are out in the forest, a lot of times the wildlife is very secretive. So you don't see the wildlife itself, but you see the evidence of where they have been, either through tracks, oh, that's pine cone, either through tracks or droppings or bits of fur. And so you have to be a detective when you're out walking to determine the types of critters that are all around you.
We found a place to rest, a nice bench, which is very thoughtful and nicely located too, next to the stream. So, Anne, tell us our little spot here.
Well, we're about halfway along the trail right here, and this does make a nice spot to stop and listen again, just enjoy the forest environment. This is also the place where we frequently will talk about soil. We'll talk about how the different ecosystems mesh in a forest. So far today,
Kathy, I'm looking at the down tree. That has to be hundreds of years maybe now in the breaking down of it.
Definitely slow decomposition. It is decomposing a little bit more rapidly because there's moisture here, and that helps in the decomposition process. If we were to go around the corner, we'd see little openings that have different types of plants, such as bear clover, the low-growing shrub that's so full of oils that when you walk through it, it stinks up your clothes.
Oh, really?
Yes. So there are even more ecosystems that we haven't touched upon.
Well, I think we've come to a nice resting spot in the end of the program for the Rock Creek Trail, and this is a good place to kind of wrap it up and just take the program out with a quiet moment of the absolute sheer beauty. And Kathy, thank you so much, and Anne, thank you. And the booklets are available up front at the information trailhead right at the beginning, or at the Tahoe Forest office. And that was a winter wren, right?
Yes.
Yes. Doing a sign off, I can tell.
That's right.
Very loud. So we'll see you another time, and thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again on Nevada County Snapshots.